Hi, I'm David Boje, and we're going live here on YouTube. Welcome to the live chat. So let's just take a look at it, what we're doing here. Okay, so let's turn this around so you can see what's going on in the desert here. So notice that the cacti are blooming here with these beautiful red flowers. And you can see them all around the desert here if you know where to look. So it's a good day to come out here and start looking around the desert, and you'll find these amazing cacti. They've got a kind of a barrel on them, but they're not the barrel cacti, and they're in clusters like this. And if you know the name, just shout it out. And the red flowers will be here for a couple more days. So we're going to head over here. I'm going to walk as I talk. So a lot of people from back east are a little bit terrified of the desert. They think there's nothing but snakes and tarantulas. Now, every once in a while, you will see a whole group of tarantulas moving back and forth across the desert, but that's during mating season, and that's not now. And you also might see rattlesnakes. But right now, they're pretty much still hibernating. I mean, if you go kicking around the base of the mountains over here, those are the Oregon mountains, a bit foggy today. And we're gonna do some walking here, and just so you can see what's going on. Now we're on the East Mesa of Las Cruces, New Mexico. There's also a West Mesa. We live on the East Mesa, a little ranch with horses, and 2 dogs, and my wife, Grace Ann Roselle, who many of you know. So there's another kind of cactus here, and it's going to have the yellow kind of flowers, but that's in a different season. You got to wait for those. So there's essentially the red flower season and the yellow flower season. Now I've been looking at 2 Swenson hawks that have been living in this area. And here's the story. I met a gentleman day before yesterday, his pickup truck, who had somebody in a hoodie in the back seat. Now the gentleman stepped out of the pickup truck and was wearing a 6-shooter strapped to his thigh. And he asked me what I was doing. I said, I'm looking at the Swenson hawks, and I haven't seen one of them for a while. And he says, I'm also looking for the Swenson hawks. He claimed to be an assistant to wildlife agency here, and that's both federal and state. U.S. Wildlife and Game, I think it's called, something like that. Put it in a comment if you know the correct name. We're kind of up here on another few red flowers. You can see them kind of in bloom. This cacti is really struggling. It's away from where the water flows up here, and in a little tiny arroyo, and it's up by itself. No protection. We'll see some others where they nestle in. If you see this cacti here, it nestles in the mesquite bush. It's also experiencing a lot of drought here, and mesquite sucks up water. So it's kind of a negotiation of how much water and how much protection that cacti is going to get. We're moving along here in the desert, just enjoying the red flowers. And I'll get back to my story about my encounter with these 2 people in the pickup truck. So here you can see another red cacti, with red flowers, okay, to be accurate. Here you can see it's protected and somewhat shaded and protected from the all-terrain vehicles that come through here by this greasewood. plant. Greasewood really sucks up the water from the desert. They're an invader species, and that means several hundred years ago when the cows came to New Mexico, we had a lot of grass, which I might be able to show you if we walk that far today. So as we're moving along here, let me get back to my story about the Swenson hawks. Swenson hawks cover the territory. They're territorial. Two Swenson hawks, male and female, will mate for life, and they will protect their territory and return to it each year. They return wrong about mid-April. They stay here, build a nest, hatch some young fledglings, and they will train them to fly. They will feed them in the nest. They get very protective of their young in the nest. I know this because I used to work with Professor Campbell. I'm Professor Boje, and we used to protect the Swenson hawks. So get back to my story here. I noticed them last couple of days going around the area, and I approached them. You can find it on YouTube to see, are these guys for real protecting the hawks, or are they actual poachers of hawks? And that's what I want to get to in my storytelling. Now, I'm a true storytelling researcher, so supposedly I know something about true storytelling. And let me switch it around here so you can see me. So I'm a professor, retired, been a professor for almost 40 years, UCLA, Loyola Marymount, New Mexico State University, Aalborg University, and I'm about to get an attachment to Fisk University in Nashville. It's not all official yet, but I'm looking forward to dancing every Wednesday in the cafeteria with this wonderful students and faculty there. Let's get back to the Swenson hawk story. So you need some background here. Swenson hawks are being hunted here by poachers in the East Mesa. And yesterday I couldn't find a single Swenson hawk flying around, and that's unusual this time of year. If you walk a couple of miles, you usually find a second set of Swenson hawks protecting its territory. And you can go further west towards Las Cruces, and that's true. You can go further south. And they even congregate in over some suburbia housing. And, you know, in the six-gun shooter territory in New Mexico, wild outlaws shoot the hawks down, sell the feathers at the farmer's market. I've seen that happen before, not recently, thank goodness. So we're coming along here, and this is a road made by ATVs and pickup trucks that I'll turn around and show you. All right. You see this road runs from Davis Road in the suburbs and goes straight over, and in the distance you can see, let me get it a little bit bigger, you can see a big hackberry tree, and that is great. We'll be walking towards that tree. So, turn it around here. All right. So, this creates a problem in the desert with these pickup trucks and off-road vehicles going illegally. I know people want to have fun, and I've talked about this on TikTok, and people tell me, hey, get a fucking life, you know. But I think my life is to be with nature and to put nature first, and your fun and games with ATV second. But that's just me, and you might have a different priority. I don't see how speeding by in a pickup truck and consuming alcohol is going to help you get close to nature. That's just me. And you might have a different opinion. You're welcome to comment or join in the discussion here if you know how to do that. So on we go towards the pond. It's what's called an ephemeral pond. Now, it's one of the congregating places of two Swenson hawks that I haven't seen for weeks. And there's another area about 2 miles toward Las Cruces. I'm on the East Mesa, so it'll be towards Las Cruces at the Las Cruces Dam, the first of a couple of dams. Should this area ever have the Noah's flood again, Las Cruces tries to protect itself. But in a lot of ways, Las Cruces allowing these roads to be made by ATVs, it cuts across the wetlands. You might say, what wetlands? So, well, this is actually wetlands. And here, oh, this is great. You got to see this guy. He may be one of the poachers here. He's right on the edge of the pond with his pickup truck. So maybe he'll be coming this way. I don't know. It's, by the way, illegal to drive your shiny pickup truck on these illegal roads. People think they're roads because they kind of look like a road. And he's heading off, I think, in a different area. When we get to the hackberry tree on the edge of the pond, you'll see that it's been cut so that marauders, I call them, oh, there you go. He's going off on a different trail here. You can see him in the distance. Let me make it a little bigger for you. And you can see him go along his pickup truck, brand new, scraping the sides with the bushes. Let's go see what he's done at the pond. It's kind of anthropological to look at the way humans treat their environment, so-called public land. Anyway, back to the story of the Swenson hawks. I keep getting distracted. Comes from being older at age 75. So I don't know if these two people in the pickup truck, one slouched down in a hoodie in the back seat, perhaps he had a rifle. Perhaps he's the shooter. And the one in the front seat, the driver, who has a 6-gun, I don't think you're going to shoot Swenson hawks flying high in the air with a 6-gun, nor with a shotgun. They're not going to let you get close enough to use a 12-gauge shotgun, 20-gauge shotgun, 14-gauge, whatever your gauge is. That's not going to happen. But they are able to use a rifle. We've been hearing new rifle shots. How do I know they're new? Because I'm sort of aware day to day of the different kinds of sounds of the rifles and shotguns that are out here. And there's people that are consistently out here shooting. And yeah, there's not Swenson hawks disappearing, but these last few weeks, they have been disappearing. And I think that's a darn shame. I tried to post a video on TikTok and YouTube of the last remaining Swenson hawks that I found here on the East Mesa. And hopefully I'll be surprised and we will find one here today. Now here's where that pickup truck was. And he's now gone up to, that goes into Davis Street. It goes into Witt Avenue. There's two illegal ways to get to the pond, and then there's a legal way over here on the other side of this berm. So let's take a look at what's happening. You can see from the tire tracks that the pickup truck just went right through here. If you can see these tire tracks on the ground, and it went right through the middle here. Now what's happening in the pond? Well, there are shooters, and they're using, 20 gauge 14 gauge. This here is a Remington 12 gauge. And they're burning couches and bed springs and tires here. There's another fire pit over there. There's a, let's turn around and actually show it to you. Sorry about that. So they're burning bed springs, tires. There's a log. This was a couch. Been here a couple of days. But let's not lose sight of the beauty on the edge of the pond. I did a very popular YouTube the other day here about flowers in the East Mesa. And these are the flowers. Aren't they beautiful? If you see them, and you get in a proper light here where you can see them. Just fabulous desert flowers here. So that's the thing about the desert in the Wild West. You got Wild West people that are very caring and considerate for wildlife and for nature. And as my dad said, they pack out what they pack in. That's what my dad taught me. And then you got others that, I don't know if it's the upbringing, the school system, that just don't. Now here we see a hackberry tree. And I call it grandfather hackberry tree. It's not the biggest one, but it's the only one on this part of the East Mesa until you get up by the Oregon Mountains. And there's two other, this is called a stock pond. Over here is been a shooting range, an old TV that was thrown out, and it's used, it's propped up, stands up, and can be used to have a target. I'll prop it up for you to get a sense of it. Yeah, you shoot that with a shotgun all day long, and I don't know, there's some, it's just a mess, but I found you got to focus on the beauty in the desert. You have to look at what's beautiful and not just what's a disaster here. So here is the hackberry tree where I come to drum and hang out. It's a good place to be. You can enter here with me. And now the temperature has gone way down. It's not cold, it's just perfect. And we'll sit here and talk a minute. I'll drum. That's why I brought my drum. All right. Yeah. Let me show you this hackberry tree. So you can see here the trunk. This is amazing, and the leaves are green. Maybe about 4 weeks ago, there were hardly any leaves at all, just on the ends of the branches. And now the hackberries themselves are visible. And these are really good to chew on, but they're too green yet, so leave them alone. Now, what's interesting about the hackberry trees on the East Mesa, none of them are able to create offspring. So there'll be thousands of seeds come down with that fruit. Animals and myself, we eat the fruit from time to time, tear it off, and it'll drop perhaps in more places, but those places are so tamped down by, just the desert that has lost the fertile soil. Now, if you know anything about trees or you watch the movie Avatar #1, you know that one tree sends out its roots. And there's 3 different kinds of trees here, and the roots are interconnected beneath the soil. And they actually form a community along with the bushes where they support each other. So one that's not getting enough sun or not getting enough water or too much wind, that the ones that are healthy will try to support them. So this canopy is absolutely gorgeous and a wonderful way to spend some time and sit here. There's a branch here I used to put up my iPhone. And let's turn it around. I'll turn it back around, David. Okay, so now here you can see me, and you can see the part of the tree. And try not to jiggle it around too much. So, as I was saying, I'm not sure these people I met, if there are actual representatives of fish, game, and wildlife that came to. They said they were a volunteer appointed by the head of Fish, Game, and Wildlife. So, yeah. I forgot my drumsticks, so I'm using a rattle. So I'll make it quiet. So I come up here and I draw through the desert. I run coordinate, facilitate a quantum shamanic group, qshamanism.com. If you want to check it out, meets on Thursdays. And this is a painting I did of a lower world power animal, combination of a black jaguar and a black hawk. I call them eagle, like eagle and jaguar, because I was reading about portmanteau words in the Deleuze Logic of Sense treatment of Lewis Carroll books. Anyway, the portmanteau word is a combination of two other words, a syllable for one word and a syllable for the next word. So I call it eagle and hawk, or eagle and jaguar. And I take eag out of eagle and war out of jaguar, and I get eaguar. So that's what I do. I won't do too much of it because maybe you're not into that sort of thing. And maybe you are. If you are, let me know. If you're not, let me know too. So I'll know whether to do it again next time or not do it again ever again. So some of the mesquites got a hold of me a little bit with their prickly thorns. All right, so I'm up here wearing my unauthorized hat, so unauthorized storyteller. So I'm not authorized by any public agency. Give that a like. And I want to find out if the Swenson hawks have been poached to the point in East Mesa where they no longer exist. It's a big area. I would say it runs about 6 miles by 6 miles or more. So that's a huge area, enough to have 4 couples of Swenson hawks around. And along the Alameda Arroyo, if you want to look at it on the map, east of Las Cruces. And then there's a pair that are at the golf course at New Mexico State University, and another pair on the main campus. Now, according to a conversation with this person that's working allegedly with Fish and Wildlife here, one pair is gone, and the other pair is in jeopardy on the golf course and the New Mexico State University campus. I used to make films, you can find them online, where these maintenance guys working for New Mexico State would be in tears, and the administration having them climb ladders or go in those vehicles where the chair goes up in the sky, and they stand up there and they clip out the nest. But once I caught, and that's okay, that's not illegal, but it is illegal if that nest has eggs in it and those eggs drop to the ground. They're in violation of an international wildlife treaty which allows the Swenson hawks to go from one country to the other country in their migration path, all the way from Canada down through New Mexico, Central America, and South America. So these are migrating birds, and they come back here to nest and create their young with their partner. So it's just against the law of nature and against the law of humans to engage in that. We caught them and they had to cease and desist. But I retired and I don't go there every day. And I guess the vigilance group at New Mexico State has dwindled. So let's talk about what was said yesterday. So the guy with the sixpence says, "What are you doing here?" I said, "I'm here about the Swenson hawks." He said, "What do you know about Swenson hawks?" I said, "I know everything. I know they have a 2.5 mile radius of range. I know that they mate for life. I know that they migrate. I know that they're here from about April through maybe October, and that as it gets too cold, they migrate back down south, and they cross many borders. And this is a place they come. I also know in October there's water here in the pond, in these stock ponds. There's 3 of them on the East Mesa. I'm in one of them now by the single hackberry tree that's on this part of the East Mesa, and there are no more. It's the last one. And it's being cut down bit by bit, and fires are set around it. It's interesting to see how long urbanization will survive. Anyway, he said that he was there trying to catch these people that are poachers, and not only poachers of the Swenson hawks, but you can see a TikTok and a YouTube they did where they're poaching cattle. Now they used to hang cattle rustlers, didn't they? In the Wild West, that was illegal. Not only illegal, but a crime against survival of ranchers. And that's why the crime was so severe. Because if you poach the cattle of a rancher at that time, they couldn't go get a part-time job parking carts at the Walmart or being flipping burgers at McDonald's or something like that. They had their full-time job was working with the cattle on the ranch. Well, this is an open range, and you can have cattle roaming. And I've seen black cattle that the same brand that my grandfather had in Washington State on his ranch, and he had to have an extra job to support his ranch and farm, working in a Pittsburgh plate and glass company, made these stained glass windows. Like people would bring him a little note, a Bible verse or something, and he could make a stained glass window for any denomination of church or your home, and create the design, present it to the customer, and he was a specialist there. Interesting, I'm a professor of management and organization, storytelling. He was once asked, "Hey, would you like to be a manager in Pittsburgh Plate and Glass?" He said, "No, never. I'm a craftsperson, an artist. I make stained glass windows. There's few people left in life that can do that." In fact, when he died with the ability to make the lead, to pick out the colors, right combination. I'm a little colorblind, but he really knew color. And so we're going to get up in a minute here and go look some more and see if we can find the Swenson hawks. Hopefully they're surviving. This is some rope. Everything has a story, every object in your life that you hang on to has a story. And one of these days I'll tell you the story behind this rope. But we don't know each other that well yet, so let's wait on that one. We'll have to come back. So my point today is there's beautiful things in the desert. Go out and check it out. I'm sitting here. There's no ants. There's no tarantulas. There's no rattlesnakes. There's no mosquitoes. It's calm. I can look out here now. People come with their ATVs, they're going by so fast they won't notice me. I can hang out here. And I guess it's live and let live. I moved here because I like the Wild West, live and let live notion of being able to walk out in the desert, ride my horse in the desert, etc. Right now, horses are a little bit too scared to go out in the desert amongst all the shooters. I don't hear them today, but there's a reason why we're not hearing them today. Let me tell you what that reason is. Get this out of the tree. Thank you, tree, for supporting the camera. The reason you don't see them in the tree, the reason you don't see the shooters out here from my vantage point, you can hear that you're not hearing shooters today. We heard some yesterday, but they were in a different part. I could show you that you don't have an orientation, but let's say you're coming across Gasline Road here on the south part of the pond, where I showed you the flowers, and the hackberry tree back here, and here's the Gasline Road. It's called Gasline Road because it connects to a big partially buried gas line and a big gas tank off in the distance that it's too hard for you to see now. And so this is the one place it is legal to drive your pickups and ATVs, and my neighbors know that, my good neighbors, and they come out and shoot and pick up after themselves. But there's some other shooters out here that just a little bit too much lawbreakers for me, for my taste. So as we look around, you can't see a single Swenson hawk in any direction out here. And that's very unusual. We're going to walk some more and keep walking until my battery runs out. And then I'll stay online with you if you're interested in exploring the beauty of the desert near you. There's a Chihuahua Desert, runs from Mexico into New Mexico and parts of Texas. And it's a desert life for me. I love the desert life. It's absolutely amazing when you get out there and get over your Easterner fear. I'm not an Easterner. I was born in Washington State, but we would hire a lot of people to come and be professors here at New Mexico State University, and they would last a little bit of time, maybe a week or two, and they'd have to move back where there's trees, which is absolutely amazing. If you look around here, do you notice there's green? These invasive species, the greasewood plants, have taken over this part of the desert. That wasn't always true, nor is it the only place in the desert to hang out and find some wonderful things. Maybe if I got enough energy, I'll take you to the Billy the Kid hideout. We've got some films on YouTube on that. And I'm kind of sad I put them up on YouTube because the Bureau of Land Management found out about them and quickly filled in. They said they didn't think it was authentic because it had a bench there. Well, of course the bench is not authentic. The point is there's a 30-foot L-shaped cave here that's quite old. And did you actually get anthropologists out here to check, and geologists to check and date the age of the cave? Because maybe it's 1,000 years old. Maybe it predates Billy the Kid, right? And his attempts to escape the law. By anyway, go check it out if you want more. Billy the Kid's hideout here. So we're walking down Gas Line Road. In the distance, you might be able to see a little metal object, and that's the tank that holds, I think it's like natural gas, which they're starting to pump around and hook up the residents of Las Cruces to. Now, here's the thing, okay? I do not think that natural gas, from what I'm reading, and especially in the states that are banning the hookup of natural gas to residents, and maybe that's got something to do with the propane lobby, I don't know. We're going to go take a shortcut and get down into the Alameda Arroyo. I notice that people come and they dump their yard waste. And hey, it doesn't matter, it's just yard waste. But it'll be here for 15 years. This power will be here until some teenagers come and burn it. So that won't last as long. There's some more yard waste. There's some stuff that's been here for about the 20 years that I've been walking these trails. This is new. It's been here just this year. People, I think the poor people, they are dumping their trash. This is a pet egg, I guess, for scraping your feet. So that the bags have split apart. People are taking extra tiles here and dumping them. Again, let me reiterate. You can focus in on the negative, or you can look at the balance of the positive of the desert continuing to be green. We're walking down one of the bigger arroyos here, and we're going to drop down about 50 to 70 feet as we go down this steep trail here. And as you can see, people are taking their ATVs and pickup trucks and coming on down. We're about a city block to the west of the pond. And if you look straight across, you'll see another trail going up. And but just at the subbridge there, I lost you for a little bit. As I'm saying, this is Dave, turning around. David Boje, I'm walking down into the Alameda Arroyo. Let me give you a panoramic here. You can see the drop of about 70 feet down, and we're still going down, down, down. And this is what I call the big arroyo. Turning around here so I can control the picture that you're seeing. All right. Now you go down here, and in the wetlands, a couple times a year we get well, I don't know if I'm online or not, but we got our cellular connection back. So I'm up here on the upper ridge of the Alameda Arroyo. If we go off to the south, follow the ridge of the or the mountains that go south from there. That mountain is called A Mountain. It's not really A Mountain, it's Tortugas Mountain. The Tortugas Indians had it before New Mexico State University renamed it A Mountain, which is kind of a sacrilege in my opinion. Hey, go Aggies, but, get your own mountain. So I guess they did appropriate A Mountain and most of this area that if you go to the west further on, they got the area from A Mountain all the way over there to the Los Angeles Convention Center, which was also once upon a time New Mexico State University, and before that was indigenous properties. So, and that's how they got grandfathered in to have water rights. So I don't have any idea if we're broadcasting now or not, if I'm making this exceedingly long video. So let's just say that the spirits have shined on us from the desert. Let me put my sunglasses on because you can hurt your eyes out here if you don't have your hat on. And sunglasses, I got sunscreen on my arms. So. Okay, so I'm walking along Gasline Road. As I said before, there is a tank here. Blow it up here. You see it in the distance, that's where you have the wonderful natural gas. Now, we're not sure if natural gas is safe. Las Cruces residents are hooking up to natural gas. Utilities are piping it in our neighborhood in East Mesa. My wife doesn't really want to have it. I might support my neighbor across the street, Mike, who's getting it. Split the cost of the hookups with him and just use it in my blacksmith shop. Just to support my neighbors, even though we'll probably never use it in the house itself. And we're on photovoltaic, so just about everything is photovoltaic except heating the in-floor, heating the water, or the gas dryer and the stove. You're married, you make compromises, If it was me, I'd be completely off the grid. Nothing over 110. Run the whole house on electric, including the stove and the dryer. I'd just hang this stuff out to dry, actually. Hello, we're in the desert. It's full of wind and it's got that nice dry heat. Anyway, but I prefer to stay married, okay? So let's not go any further. Now, let's talk about this fellow who supposedly is working with fish and wildlife and is out here protecting wildlife. Let's just say his name starts with a J. He said he's working with the head of New Mexico Wildlife Government Agency and has been asked to assist by running around in his pickup truck with a buddy huddled up in the back with a hoodie on. I'm saying it looks pretty suspicious to me. Yeah, he knows where 5 cattle have been slaughtered. He knows where the different Swenson hawks have been shot down, and the ones remaining, he said 2 were shot down. He saw another pair. One of the pair was shot down. The second one is not returned, and the one shot down, he saw it circling down into the ground. So you got to ask, there's one of 2 possibilities here in true storytelling. One, he's either telling the truth, or two, he's lying. Because you've got somebody here with a lot of information and a lot of presence. Now, since the hawks are gone and the cattle have been shot and slaughtered by the poachers, poaching the Swenson hawks, poaching the cows, let me tell you what's going on. According to him, this wildlife is putting in cameras, hidden cameras, and I think the word is out because they seen this guy with his pickup truck observing everybody, and he's got binoculars, and so there's nobody shooting today. There was a little bit of shooting for an hour yesterday, and then that stopped. And usually on a weekend, this place is just shotgun heaven in the Wild West. And it's called bump stocks, where the shotgun is placed along your shoulder here, and you can bump it, and it'll sound just like pop, 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 pop. But they also use some illegal machine guns out here. There's rifles, which are legal during hunting season, if and only if you have a hunting license. And people I meet, I say, well, I'm target practicing. I'm sorry, target practice is not legal here. And they respond, well, I'm on the Bureau of Land Management land. You can't tell me anything. I'm going, well, here's the deal. Talk to the ranger for Bureau of Land Management. There's a small half-mile by half-mile part of a larger 10-mile by 10-mile section. And the larger 10-mile by 10-mile is Department of Interior. And again, it runs south of A Mountain and right up to the area here on the East Mesa called Aldrich Avenue. And it runs all the way to the Oregon Mountains and over to that suburb, Sonoma Ranch. Now, that is a big area. It's not all BLM, but people don't know the difference. Now, why do they not know the difference? Why isn't this a simple problem of identifying the area of BLM? Now, the ranger for BLM, nice man, very nice man, says that they sort of go with the flow. If the city, state, federal says there's no shooting, no ATVs, then they'll enforce that. But if the city, state, and federal don't have anything like rigidly in place, like signs, like informing the public what's going on, then they don't. Now, why do they not do that? What's the incentive for politicians not to have explicit signs? And if you go to Sonoma Ranch, again, Sonoma Ranch over there on that ridge, East Mesa, south of Aldrich, and that's Dunn Street. Why not here? The reason is simple. As Las Cruces expands, it's pushing and penetrating and encroaching on more and more and fragmenting with roads and illegal trails and off-roaders, etc., cutting up the desert, fragmenting it. And this allows them to sell the rangeland cheap to developers who don't need insurance. Maybe there's some kind of performatory thing that looks like insurance. But if you or I, as citizens, try to get a hold of this land and do something for recreation and protection or whatever, we'd have to have insurance, we'd have to have $10,000 deposits, we'd have to do all kinds of stuff. And we'd have to put up fencing all around the land, which I think is incredibly interesting because, hello, this is open range land. There's a fellow over there running cattle. Those are the cattle that are being shot. It's between A Mountain and where I'm standing. And he didn't keep up his fencing. So why would he get away with not having fencing, not policing the area, not protecting the environment, and just doing whatever he wants? Okay, well, you know the history of Mexico, you know the answer to that question. If you come back to reality now, you say, well, what happens, David? Well, the suburbs moving on in and they'll start to take up this. Let's go back in history. Pirapu, about 10 years or so ago, proposed annexing this whole area from here to A Mountain and to double the size of Las Cruces from it's like, I don't know, 180,000 and add another 200,000 people moving in here. Why would you populate the East Mesa, which has a very finite water source and is running out? In fact, Las Cruces, up towards Route 70, you can see an area where they've gone in there with bulldozers and made it flat. And they say it's to control flooding, but actually they're buying up property, appropriating property for the water rights. And they bought off the Blue Moon Waterworks. And just like El Paso, they're buying up ranch land north up into Anthony. There's two Anthonys, by the way, one in Texas and one in New Mexico. But the Texas Anthony, they're buying it up so they can have water rights. Why? Why are they doing that? Because their water is now salt water, brine water, salt. Can't use it for drinking unless you run it through some very, very expensive $1 million worth of technology. And you also are doing toilet to tap. In other words, toilet water within 24 hours of processing in about 200 cities across the United States becomes tap water. Anyway, desert is important here on the East Mesa. If you leave it alone, it is the wetlands. During the monsoon season, the water percolates down into the ground, and there you go. Let me just show you here, in case you think I'm making this up. Let's turn the camera around on the button here. Okay. You see that road? That road is made by the rangers that lease the land from the Department of the Interior, the State Land Office. They don't lease it from the Bureau of Land Management. Okay, that's a fiction. This is not Bureau of Land Management land. This is run by the State Land Office, whose job it is to sell the land of America to the cheapest bidder. So this road that runs up and down from one arroyo to the next. There's some remnants of barbed wire fencing that would have kept in those cattle that are being poached. But you can see here that it ends here, and that has been removed. There's no gate here anymore. There is a gate which you would have to unhook and fold across, but then it's laying down here in the ground, and it's never picked up and used to close it. If I close it, I would cut the heads off of half a dozen ATV riders, which I'm not going to do. Gotta love your neighbors, live and let live. So it's a nice thing to go and wear out your pickup truck tires and scratch the sides of your vehicles going up and down here. You can go all the way over to A Mountain if you wanted to. Quite the ride. So occasionally you see people who borrow mommy and daddy's pickup truck and they're out here and they're doing that. It was funny because they come down Aldrich 60, 80 miles an hour and hit the dirt part, or they'll go down Dunn Drive, which runs from the north to the south. And I live on Dunn Drive. You don't come and talk to me. And it will bottom out brand new pickup trucks, brand new Dodge Chargers that they borrowed from mom and daddy. Maybe they saved all their money in high school to get one. I don't know. But they come shooting across those bumps, tear out the undercarriage, and the bumpers pop off. And monsoon season, those trenches get really, really deep right as you move from the pavement. And it's kind of interesting how the police operate here. They patrol about 8:30 in the morning, checking for people that are speeding, etc., in this neighborhood. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to turn this around here so you can see remnants of pillar proof. They were going to fill this in, make a bridge across this arroyo and the 6 other arroyos. And I went to city council and said, hey, are you guys for real? How much money is it going to cost to create these bridges across half a dozen arroyos? And where's the green space going to be? I said, well, we're going to take the wide arroyo here. This is going to be the green space. I said, yeah, what does that mean? Well, your ATVs, your horse riders, your people on trails, people on bicycles, you're going to have use of the green space down here. Okay. And we're going to build housing from A Mountain right up to Aldrich Street. You know, I live in Aldrich and Dunn on the corner there. And that's going to be this green space in this arroyo. So we're going to put all the recreation stuff in the arroyo. Yeah, that's sort of how we do it when we're doing urban development here. And, you know, so, okay. Well, it's going to be pretty expensive. And let's see, you're going to take a bunch of these concrete pipes, you're going to bury them down here, connect them together, and scrape up sand, put in a few girders, make a little 4-lane road, highway, maybe it's a highway, traffic lights, just like the one they got on Roadrunner, Sonoma Ranch, that's Sonoma Boulevard, or whatever they call it. And you're going to put these in here, huh? And that's going to contain the water. Really cool. So that's just going to be what you're developing now, huh? Okay. That's a great idea. Well, Pilipoo went bankrupt before he carried out his plan to double the size of Las Cruces. Now, all the university administration was there saying, hey, we got to do this. Chamber of Commerce was there. We got to do this. Hotel, restaurant, tourism. We got to do this. The construction industry. We got to do this. There's going to be a boom to Las Cruces. And then there's a few geologists, hydrologists there. So that's beautiful. This is where we're hearing a lot of the rifle shots going on. It was just the one Swenson hawk. And what I think is going on here is the shooters are aware that there's potential cameras being put out here, hidden cameras that can catch them. And they want to risk a fine. What are they going to get, a fine for poaching? Are they going to get jail time? I doubt it. A lot of these officials out here will give people a warning. Please don't shoot the hawks. Don't shoot the cattle. Try to stay on the main road, gas line road, with your off-road vehicle. In the distance, you can hear an off-road vehicle, at least I can, powering up, getting ready to come down Davis Drive into the pond. Maybe going to come along here to the ridge. Let's look at something beautiful. So, again, this is a beautiful cactus. It's amazing. Don't touch it because I got my finger in it. Let's see if I can find it. Anyway, I got a protected finger. These thorns are particularly hard to get out of your skin, but isn't this beautiful? The blossoms on here are just amazing. I understand they make good eating. I don't know how you cook them, but people that used to live in the desert know how to do that. So let's keep going with our live cast. Assuming we're still live, who knows? Oh, here goes let me see if I can catch these. Oh, there they are. There they are crossing the road. So the quails. Amazing. One's still in the bushes up here, and it's going to run right across this road. There it goes. You see it? You see it? Those are the quails. Fabulous. There's only mama and daddy quail. I don't know where the youngsters are. I guess they're not born yet. But a bit later in the summer, you're going to see mama and daddy quail and 5, 6, 8 little baby quails, that's called. It's not the scientific word, but we use it for now. Oh, there's a dog. On the chain link fence. Don't worry, he's not going to get out. I walk here all the time. He hasn't gotten out yet. He'll stop barking in just a second. There, you're a wonderful dog there. There's my dogs too. They bark at anything that goes by, particularly mailmen, postmen, Amazon people dropping off their postwomen too, dropping off their stuff. I understand Amazon. There's so many returns back to Amazon that it's just becoming a problem for the landfills. I guess they really don't send those things back to the people who are selling them. They just sit in a big warehouse and then they write it off and send it to the landfill. I'm sure they send some of it back. It's like a diamond ring or something. But they've got some sort of cost-benefit thing they figured out. So now we're getting closer up here to where I live. And if you hang in here on the live broadcast, I'm going to show you a little bit of our ranch and what it looks like, what we've been trying to do with it. And thank you for being part of the live broadcast today. Let me know if you liked what you were hearing and seeing, maybe what you were seeing. I tried to show you some of the desert, the beauty of the flowers, the beauty of the cactus, the wonderful landscape, geology. There's a lot more we can look at. But as I got down into the arroyos, I lost internet and cellular capabilities, so that wasn't happening anymore. So we're walking along the dirt road here, Dunn Drive. Now, if you see that bush up there in the distance, I'll swing along slowly so you don't lose your lunch here. Okay, and you see that other set of bushes in the distance? At one time, the fences ran all the way in this bare spot and connected those all the way up to the paved part of Dunn. And this part on the left, part over here, that was all nature. And people started encroaching on that side and taking their pliers down and bolt cutters and cutting the fences down. And that way they could drive on both sides of the bushes, and they would drive on the bushes, and eventually they created what you have today. Well, it looks like it's as wide as Dunn Drive paved. But actually, this is Dunn Drive on this side where it says road work ahead. And there's a big story there on the road work that's happening at the corner of Aldridge and Dunn on the northwest corner. One of my former students and his family bought, 15, 20 acres there and he's going to build 8 homes supposedly. But the city made them pay for the natural gas line, the line for water to have hydrants, which is a good idea, hydrants. Okay, so here we are looking at a little island of bushes, and you can see that metal post sticking up, and that's used to have barbed wire that would keep pedestrians, ATVs, pickup trucks, commuters off of the left side here and coming to the right. But what happens is, during the monsoon, the water just runs here. And you'll see in some YouTubes, I've been trying to help my neighbors by digging a little pond and having it so the water comes back here and it doesn't get all as mudded up. It's still going to get mudded up in vehicles like that when they don't show the license, but going to get stuck. So the road ahead, the city's making them put in a sidewalk, the city's making them pave the road, the city's making them pay for all these utilities to go in, and it's like $1 million worth of stuff. And here you see, this is the lowest part of the property, and it's where things will grow without them so much of the greasewood. A lot of mesquite, but the greasewood tends to be on my left here. We'll be taking a bit on my right. It's looking like that older kind of lush vegetation, dense. Here's the greenhouse that I made. It's an earthship greenhouse. It has tires that I stacked up. The mud has been coming off the sides, and I got to re-mud it. I got some stuff from the rebuild shop here and here, and some plastic. And that's the south side. I'm going here's the other side. I did some netting, and this part has stayed pretty good. I have to do a lot more mudding. That's my mud pit, a mud shovel. Also, I gather water here from the gray water in this pit. Got my composting over here on the right. It's less interesting. We'll go inside to show you. We had set the whole thing up as steady the camera here. Back away so you get to see it. We had set it up with a terrace right under those windows and a shelf. And I had all of these buckets up there with the clay thing, and I found out it didn't really work, and I had all this plumbing and one of those systems where they would pump the water up and down, and into a big tank. But I was wasting a lot of water. This thing worked pretty good, which is kind of a swamp cooler that I created. It's about almost 5 feet by 3+ feet. Again, I get some distance here so you can see it. And when we go outside, you'll see a sculpture, and air blows through that, water trickles down, and water from the roof goes into these barrels. And that's where we use a lot of, oh, there we go. You can see it a lot better there. And we got a shelf in the center. And it turned out my wife was right. My wife's always right. It was easier just to get pots with real dirt and water it and have a little hand pump. And I'll show you how the hand pump works. So I've got a switch on it and turn it on, and maybe it's been pumped out. You know what I think it is? I might have left that on. Well, that's going to be awful. Let's see. Yeah, now that's right. Okay, so it looks like there's no water in the tank, and we got to wait for the monsoon. But when the monsoon comes, you click that little switch, and you stored up enough water in the big tank out here to water the tomato, cucumber, and flowers, etc. that we put out here. So, airship greenhouse made from tires collected in the desert, and a few of the tire repair shops. Thank you very much. There's a sculpture here. The shark collects the points whatever way it is. The wind is going, the tail away from the wind, and the air will go through that shaft, through big truck tires, and into that drip system. I used a lot of secondary materials. Here's the first photovoltaic system we built. I built the house. I used to move left and right, follow the sun. We didn't follow the moon, which was quite interesting. Then we went big time and had professional photovoltaic system put in. I used to have my batteries there. I could be off grid. That was fabulous. So this is our little small ranchette, I guess you call it, ranch for horses. We had to go to the county and tell them we'd like an exemption to have horses here because there's horse properties all around us. And you know, some of the people here were very nice and said yes, and they supported us. But a couple of people said, "No, we don't want another horse ranch here." And it turned out that they wanted to avoid the possibility. I make these taxes free. I make these metal sculptures. That one there is turns with the wind, and it's got a blacksmith, and it beats up and down on an anvil with a hammer. And these turn. I'll show you a little bit of the barn there in the background. That's where we still have some horses there. Well, isn't this cool? Let's take a look at the blacksmith shop, because I think that's the more interesting area. It's a straw bale structure, and we had a big party out here. We had some classes that we gave with some master straw bale builders, and got a party of people together. It's stuccoed on the outside, but let me show you the proverbial truth window. There it is, the truth window. Straw bale approved by codes people here. Here you see the shop. Here's the forge, the coal forge. This coal that I use. Various templates I use with to beat the metal. My two anvils, I got them close together now, as I've huddled up the coal forge, and there's a gas forge here on that pipe I use for knives and swords and when I'm making art out of horseshoes. This center thing here puts you, and be careful of the noise here. This is what's called a Appalachian power hammer. That's what off, so you don't hurt your ears. But essentially, it's got a motor from Harbor Freight. It's got some flywheels from an old pickup truck. It's got a 350 pickup truck leaf spring, which I straightened out a little bit in the forge, so it didn't have quite the bow in it anymore. big pieces of metal. This thing must weigh 8,000 pounds, and it doesn't move. And then I took part of a universal joint and made it so it moves that the Appalachian power hammer up and down, up and down, up and down. Then I've got the wood saw. Somebody at the dump threw out this basket, and I chopped it up and put my metal chop saw on it so I can do it. And I got the other thing. Looks like it's time to change the sandpaper on that one. This is my cross saw. It's old. It's a DeWalt, but I've had it for probably 20 years, and it's been very faithful. You just got to be careful you don't put really big wood on it. I've got a couple of band saws with different kinds of blades on them. I bought this baby here, and everything's on wheels. Pour it out. It is amazing. Just go boom, 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 boom. And cuts up and down. That's another kind of bandsaw, old school. Over here, we got 1, 2 welders, and this TIG 200 is a double welder. It does stick welding and TIG welding. This one here does the stick welding. So I got it here. I put in a wood floor where I got the wood part of the shop, and I got I'm putting up the American flag here, so I got to make a way that just stays in there. Okay, that's my dad's flag from the Navy. This thing here is his ashes. Looks like a speaker, but it's his ashes. David Boje served in the Navy. These are things that he sent me, so he looked at like before he died. Happy man in Oregon, where I'm going to go up one day and spread his ashes. This is some of the art I've made that's been in the gallery: a sombrero and a guitar made out of copper and aluminum, and it was inspired by mariachi. It was really fun. Metallic wind is what I call stuff that I do here. I've got pictures of my mother up here. They're holding me when I was about 3 or 4 years old. My sister drumming there. My dad cold prospecting, my brothers, and my sister and I at my sister's wedding. That's my grandma Wilda, who's a trick rope rider in Northwest. And that's my son and several of the 4 grandchildren. That's on my mother's side, and some of her children and grandchildren. That's Louis Ralph Bonde, and just wrote a book about him. Thinkman.com. You can download the book. This is my work with the people from France, Henry Savall. So, and somebody moved out of town and gave me a whole jewelry shop here. I got all the pieces and things for cutting jewelry and making different things out of jewelry. So the way I got the shop organized, I got the these saws over here cutting wood. Okay, got my router here, wood, and my big tools cutting the wood. Here's the actual router. It's all hung up here. Then I got the jewelry section up on the wall. These are French cleats. These are French cleats because you can move this stuff around is cleated in the back, put it in the French cleat system. And it's really nice as you can keep moving things around. I'm done with pegboards. I'll never use pegboards again. That's my son and I at Disneyland, the log ride. That's him when he was about 10 years old. We rode there on my Harley Davidson, did the log rides. It was a beautiful time with my son Ray. Here we got the welding equipment. As I was saying, I had put in some wood flooring over the dirt, but I've got metal covering it up in the section that has the welding equipment. And that's because you will melt some of the metal, and then you will start a fire if you don't have that. But over here, you see it's dirt, there's some gravel, and that allows me, when I grab something with the tongs and pull it out of the fire, if I drop it, it's just going to go in the dirt here. It's not going to start a fire, and that's important. Safety reason. There's a place for everything, and this thing is out of place, so let's go put it where it belongs. And here I got a rack for all of my chisels, and they're all in one place, so I know where to find them. I love this setup here. For example, all my Phillips screwdrivers here on this magnet, and all my flatheads are on this magnet. And so I can get them, I can pick a different size or several of them right away. My pliers that I use for cutting wire, etc., holding wire, twisting wire are right there. But if I'm doing the fine work, I got them on this magnet strip. It's just fabulous. My dad believed that you should have the TV running at all times in the background. He wouldn't really watch much going on there. Occasionally he'd yell at the newscasters as if they were going to yell back. But he's quite the guy. So you'll turn that on the mute. Good for St. Jude's. But he'd have this run in the background. And he died the way I want to die. He had the remote control in his hand, and he grabbed the remote control. And he was in his easy chair, and the sheriff said that he had a smile on his face. This is my unauthorized cap here. So let me turn that off. But some of these things, see that they light up, were given to me by Jill and Marty, who moved to Germany, and they also gave me the jewelry shop here I got. I like this. It's shaped like a pyramid. So I put my art up here, my tools up here, things about my family and my dad. So it's kind of an artistic wall and a tool wall. And it's really nice having things. This is my office chair that I brought out here. It rolls around. I got a couple of chairs for guests to come and visit. And I got a project I'm doing here to build a welder's table where each of these holes you could put in a clip down to hold your piece. But I've got to learn a little bit more skills in the TIG welding, because I'd like to have some of the main joints TIG welded. And I'm going to use these big wheels on the bottom. Got really good things cut at one of the local fabrication shops, and I'll be featuring them because they cut everything they cut big holes in here using the laser. It would have taken me forever, and I wouldn't have been able to drill with my drill press over here. It just doesn't have the quality to be able to drill those holes, and I could try holding a drill like this one here. Nice drill, but I would be forever trying to get these holes evenly spaced, so best done on a laser. So really appreciate the young fellow. I'll make a special video. I got this here is the acetylene and this on wheels. This here, the air thing. Oh, I really love this thing for putting little brads in here. That's really made my life so much easier. Putting the wood in place and making all these little shelf units, and then before I put the screws in to make it really endure. I thought you'd love this if you have a drill press. Look at all the things arranged here. So these are some of the frequently used wood items. The drills here. These drills I got from my dad. So I really like that one. These he used to make wood pins. So I got some of those. And he passed. These are things that I had. So see, aren't they beautiful? So they have special places. And then there's more drill bits. Okay. Here, this is a really nice set. I love this one. For making a really fine holes. And it's got a stop on it. And it sort of reams out the top of the hole. So again, this came from my dad, who really appreciated fine tools. And I'm so happy that I have that. Let me get it to shut right. There we go. There. So it's got a place right here. It's up there. Oh my God, it's beautiful. Okay, got a post vise. So normally this would be on a wood post buried in the ground, and then this would sit next to it and on its own little nub. I have it movable, so it's on a truck disc, probably a 350 Ford disc, or hub. I guess you call it a hub. Sorry, hub. And there's just scrap metal out here. Probably should go check in, see what's going on. So thanks for the visit. I hope you enjoyed the see some of the property here. This is the blacksmith group met, and we made this sundial. And it's got etched in the numbers. And if you get it calibrated right, it'll show what is probably about something like that, maybe noon or so. Yeah. It's probably way past noon. It's probably more like 2 o'clock. So if you calibrate it right, then as the sun arcs, it'll show you the time. We love it here in New Mexico. We don't move here. It's kind of a bit crowded already. And it stalls for the horses. So we use the noise. This is a pickup truck for hauling the horses. And right here is an empty space for the Aptera that I've ordered. I wish I would get that Aptera happening. This is the MR2. It's about a 2002 model. And the spoiler, I keep the battery charging because I don't know, for some reason, if I don't trickle charge this battery, it'll just wear out in less than a year. This is the Prius hybrid plug-in. And we plug it in over here on the wall and pop this thing open. And you plug it right in there. And you only can go about 34 miles on the electric, but it's enough to go to town and get something. This one is 220. This one here is the 110. So a 110, I'm charging it using the photovoltaic. You've seen in the background that my wife and I, being academics, we got these banker boxes and we organized the materials here on this wall and the other wall on this side of the truck. There's all banker boxes pretty much on it. A few non-banker boxes. Trays I use for my storytelling sand tray work. Anyway, so it's time to sign off. This is David Boje. The thing says we're live. I don't know if we're live or not. But this is unauthorized storytelling, true storytelling by David Boje. And if you like it, give it a like, do it again. If you don't like it, I'll probably do it again anyway because I enjoy storytelling. So all for now. Bye. It's David Boje.